And this video will be the much anticipated. You hear my grandson in the background. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's Dr. Jack of All Trades. I'm so happy that you all are here. And whew, this vlog is going to be a good one. So I am going to be chit-chatting about the surgery that I had back in December. You know, I mentioned to you guys that I had surgery just a few days before Christmas, and so that's what we're going to talk about in this in this vlog. You know, on this channel, I'm all about abundant living. I'm over 50, and there's still a lot of life to live, and I want to live it as abundantly as possible. So I share with you things that I do to ensure that I'm living an abundant life for me. And what's abundant for me may not be abundant for you, but just so long as you are living your best, biggest, most abundant life, hey, do it. So that's what we're going to talk about in this vlog. But before we move on, please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I'd certainly appreciate it if you did. Listen, we have a good little family over here. My videos are you know, they're okay if you like that type of content. I talk about lifestyle, I talk about travel, I talk about mental health, just all of those wonderful things that go along with living life to the fullest. So let's jump right on in. So as you all know, I mentioned that I had surgery December 20th, 2022. So just a couple months ago. I am right now 9 weeks post-op. And if you watched my video about my luxury wish list items for 2023, one of the items that was on the list was better health. Just really focusing on my physical health, physical and mental, but physical health as a separate entity was one of the things that I talked about that I wanted to enhance this year. And so in preparation for that, I had surgery on December 20th, 2022. And the surgery that I had was the vertical sleeve gastrectomy, or otherwise known as the gastric sleeve or the VSG surgery.
The average human stomach can expand to hold around 1 to 1.5 liters of food. During a sleeve gastrectomy, a thin vertical sleeve is created by using a stapling device. This sleeve will typically hold between 50 to 150 milliliters, or is about the size of a banana. The excised portion of the stomach is removed. The newly created gastric sleeve is able to hold approximately 1/10 of what the stomach was able to hold before.
So that's the surgery that I had. I had contemplated having that surgery for many, many years. And so I guess I'll start at the beginning. After I had all my children and I had to end up having a total hysterectomy when my oldest child was 17 years old. And with that surgery came hormones that I was on. And after that point, it just seemed like the weight just would not go away. It just would not go away. I was 38 years old. And from that, I've always been very active. I've always, even throughout high school, I was very active. I never was skinny, but I wasn't now that I look back on it, I really was not overweight. I thought I was, but I wasn't. If I can find some pictures, I'll insert some pictures. Of what I used to look like. Granted, when I was in my teens, being very, very thin was in. Nowadays, you know, thin is in, but also all sizes are in. But back then, you know, thin was it. And if you weren't thin, then you were overweight. And that is how I felt. Now, that may not have been how people looked at me, but that is how I felt. And so I felt like I was always trying to lose weight as a teen in high school and throughout college. And I actually succeeded in losing weight and keeping my weight very, you know, very stable. Even after having children, I would go back to my pre-pregnancy weight. Now, after my first child, I wasn't aware of what I needed to do to get back to that pre-pregnancy weight. So it took me a little while, but I got back there. And so with each child afterwards, I knew what to do. And so I was able to get back to my pre-pregnancy weight, and I maintained that weight for a while. I did do diets, you know, like we all do. I did crash dieting. It's like when I got married, I went on a diet to, you know, get really prepared to look really nice in my wedding gown. And I did lose weight and gain that back. And that started the cycle of, you know, how you lose weight and you gain it back. You lose weight, you gain it back. And so I did that for a while. And then I had to have the surgery when I turned 38. And after that, man, it just got harder and harder. And I believe it was a combination of, you know, getting older and the fact that I was, you know, thrust into medical menopause. And so I had that surgery. That was in 2008, August of 2008. And from that moment on, the weight just started just coming on, just repeatedly, just coming on, just coming on. Things happening in my life, getting busier, doing more, going back to school, getting my doctorate. Just weight just kept piling on. So I started probably at around 155-ish pounds or so. And I just kept gaining weight, kept gaining weight, kept gaining weight until around 2012. Yeah, it was 2012. So from 2009 to 2008 to 2012, I got up to about 211 pounds. And I'm short, I'm 5'2", so that was a lot. And at that moment is when I started really considering what I should do. Now, granted, I guess I should back up and tell you that I have tried other diets. Prior to that, I had tried other dieting things. Like when I was getting married, I actually did Adipex. If you're familiar with Adipex, that is a Phentermine, which is a diet pill. I took that and it worked. It truly worked. But it also, because I am a sufferer of generalized anxiety disorder, that was not the best option for me because it heightened my sense of anxiety. And then coming off of that medication really sent me spiraling into a really extremely anxious, dark place. And so for the mental effects of it, I would not ever do it again. But it did work. Now, granted, that was not something that I could sustain because you can't stay on that forever. And once you stop taking those pills, guess what? The weight comes back. It's like your body is programmed to get you back to that weight that you were, and to ensure that it doesn't happen again, it makes you pack on a few extra pounds. And so that was, that's part of the reason why I got up to over 200 pounds. And so around 2012, I really started looking at some other medical ways to help me lose the weight. And so my state, through our state group insurance, they had a program called Heads Up. And Heads Up was a medically supervised study that was done by the Pennington Biomedical Center in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It's affiliated with Louisiana State University. And so they were doing a study, obesity study, on seeing what was the best way to affect lasting change in persons who suffered from obesity and who had some comorbidities with their obesity. And by morbidity, I mean things like diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, anything like that was attributed to the extra weight. Now, I didn't have any comorbidities, but I did meet the BMI threshold, the weight. I was, well overweight at that point. I could there were two tracks. You could do the medical meal supplement program, or you could do the bariatric surgery, which would have either been the gastric sleeve or some other type of surgery. So I signed up for it. It was a lottery. I actually signed up for it back in 2012 at that point. It was 3 years before I was selected. So all the while still, trying to do things on my own, just working out, trying to eat better and trying to maintain my weight. But I really couldn't lose anything. I stayed right around 200, 205. I fluctuated between 205, 207, even getting back up to 211, going back down to 207, 205. Just stayed around in that area. I had been no stranger to working out. In fact, love working out, even to this day. So activity was not my issue. And I didn't really eat like a ton of food like you would think people would be eating. I really did not. And that probably was part of the problem. I wasn't eating enough because I would starve myself all day, and not just literally like on purpose starve myself. It would just be because I'm busy, I'm getting the kids back and forth, I'm working, I'm traveling. And at that point, my job was about an hour away from me. So I'm driving an hour one way to get to work. And so I'm snacking, I'm doing this and doing that. And so the weight just kind of stayed on. So at that point, that's when I was still trying to lose the weight. So back around 2015, I was called up for the program. I was selected to be a study subject in the Bennington study, obesity study. And so because where I lived, there was not a surgeon in the area who was a part of the study who would perform the surgery. I had to do the medical diet portion, which I was just happy that I was going to get anything that might help me. And so what that program entailed was using these meal replacement shakes through Health One Nutrition, or Health One Nutrition Technology, I think is the name of the company. And so it was these protein-rich meal replacement shakes that we did. We had to do 5 a day starting out, no other meals, water and vitamins. That's all you could do. The 5 shakes, drink water, you could have coffee unsweetened, and you could have vitamins. You had to take vitamins. And so I got on that. And before you could be accepted as a participant, you had to do a 2-week trial run. And on that 2-week trial run, you had to lose at least 2 pounds. So I did the 2-week trial run and I lost 4 pounds. So when I started, I was at 208 and I got down to 204 and they said, okay, you're in. And so I started it. So for the first 4 weeks, you only did the shakes. No, it was 8 weeks. So for the first 8 weeks, you did nothing but shakes. And that was tough for me. Not that I would be super, super hungry because my mind was made up. I was gonna do this, but it was getting the 5 shakes in because again, my schedule just was all out of whack. And I just couldn't find the time to get the 5 shakes in. I would do 4, 3.5, 4 shakes, and couldn't really get all the shakes in. But I was working out faithfully. It was at that point I began to get up at 5 in the morning and I would go run. That's when my running really picked up. I used to run. I started entering races. Running is the most exhilarating activity that I have found for me because you get that runner's high. That runner's high is amazing. So I ran, and I probably ran too much because that's when I developed the problems with my ankles and my knees and all of that, which kind of sidelined me for a while. But after the 8 weeks, then you drop down to 4 shakes and you added a light meal. And then you drop down after like 4 weeks of that, you drop down to 3 shakes and add, another meal. And the meal started off with just vegetables. And then towards the end, you could, once you get into the maintenance phase, you are eating regularly, but you're supposed to have learned these habits that will help you keep the weight off. And so I got down to about, from 204 to about 165. I got down to about 165, which was really great. And I was actually able to maintain that weight loss for about a year and a half. But slowly but surely, the weight started coming back on because I started going back to eating pretty much whatever I wanted, And while it wasn't like a whole bunch, it's like your body is like, some days I would just be famished and I just could not get enough to eat, and I would just be, and that's just your body's way of saying, okay, we're going back to that. So here it was again, from 2017 back to 2022, I was back up to 208 pounds again. And very disheartened. And it was at that point, after talking to my doctor, I said, you know what, I need something that's going to be a little bit more permanent, that's going to last. And after much prayer, after talking with my family, after really doing my research and making up my mind, because that was the biggest thing, just really making up my mind and really saying, okay, I'm going to do this. Talking to friends who are in the medical profession, I chose to go ahead and have the surgery. And I'm gonna have to tell you, it was a lot to deal with, to make up my mind to get there, because it's major surgery. And any surgery is major, and any surgery is, that comes with its risk. And so I was worried about that, but I took that leap of faith because I was tired of the yo-yoing. I was tired of just not feeling my best, because how can I live my abundant life if I don't feel my best? I knew my family history and the things that the conditions that were prevalent in my family history and my immediate family history. My mom was a short lady. We're short people. She was only 4'11", and she was over, the recommended weight. She was overweight. She had high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, all of those things. And I knew that just my doctors had all said, I did not have high blood pressure, heart disease, or anything like that, no diabetes, but my A1C was going up a little bit and my cholesterol was going up a little bit. And so I didn't want to, as my friend said, that's not the statement I wanted to make. So I wanted to make a different statement. I wanted to do something different from my life, and I wanted to take charge of my weight and my well-being, so that I could live my most abundant life. And so I went to see a surgeon. I researched the surgeons in my area who were most skilled at the surgery. I chose a surgeon that I was familiar with and went to see them, and it went, got the ball rolling. So I went, because my insurance does not cover it, and I was going to be a cash patient, I didn't have to go through all of the things that some other people have to go through, such as getting the pre-authorizations and going through all of these things. I didn't have to do any of that because I was a cash patient. So what I had to do was meet with the surgeon first and just kind of talk with them, and meet with the nutritionist, talk about my goals, talk about my eating habits, talk about, if I was truly ready to make this change. Because a lot of people, even me included, when I was younger, I was like, oh, bariatric surgery, that's just, for people who just really have no self-control, they can't do anything. But when I was in the situation, I realized that, that's not it. It's not, for a lot of people, the fact that you have no self-control, that's not it. In a way, our bodies fight against us, literally fights against us. And then you have to look at whether or not you're predisposed to that. I'm a short person, and science has figured out that sometimes in families, they're just predisposed, or they have a predisposition to, retain weight. And so that was, something that I had to think about. And then you think about, in the US, our portion sizes, they are huge. Okay, that really is something that everyone should do. When you go to a restaurant and you order a meal, look at the calorie count. You can order one meal that has your entire allotment of calories for a full day in one meal. So, it's a lot of factors, that are fighting against us. And the one thing that I'd like to say about any type of bariatric surgery, it's not the easy way out. In fact, it's difficult. It is a very difficult, and it's a drastic measure that you're going to go through to make a change in your life. So that is what I did. So one of the things that I had to do in order to prepare for the surgery is I had to meet with a psychiatrist. And that was really important because you need to be mentally ready for this change that you're going to make in your life. Your body's going to go through some drastic changes, and it could really, really affect your psyche. So I wanted to make sure that I could do the surgery and maintain my mental health, because my mental health is extremely important to me. I have gotten to a place where I am no longer in that state of anxiety and depression that I was back in my 20s and early 30s, and I didn't want to jeopardize that in any way. And so in speaking with a psychiatrist, that was really, really helpful. I really appreciate that is something that is required prior to the surgery. So if you're considering that, just be aware that you're going to have to talk to a psychiatrist, and they're going to have to determine if you are mentally ready or able to undergo the surgery. So I did that, and so to back up, I started the process in late September of 2022, and so went to see the psychiatrist during, I think, October or November, somewhere in there. I can't remember now. And then after that, my surgery was already scheduled for December 20th, but I just needed to go ahead and see the psychiatrist to determine if I needed to push my surgery back or cancel it altogether. And so after that, he said he found no indication that I would not be able to mentally handle the procedure. And so they moved forward with it. I had to do this diet. Now, for some people, they have to do a liquid diet for 2 weeks. I did not have to do a liquid diet because, for one, I started off on the lower end of people needing the surgery. I just, barely made it. I just came in right under the threshold of what was needed in order to qualify for the surgery. And so I did not have to do a liquid diet. What I had to do is what they call a liver reducing diet. So it was fat restricted, and it's so that the surgery can go as smoothly as possible. It reduces the size of the liver so that the surgeon is able to get to your stomach better, because the stomach kind of sits underneath the liver, and so they have to move the liver out of the way, and it just makes the surgery a lot less complicated for the surgeon, and it a lot less complicated for you. So I did the fat restricted diet for, they said I could start it whenever I wanted to, just so long as I did it 2 weeks prior. So I started December 1st. Remember, my surgery was December 20th. And when I started, I was right at around 207 when I started the fat restricted diet. And I'll insert some pictures of what that diet included or what it consisted of. And so by the time I went in for surgery, I was at 199. So I was already under 200 pounds when I went in for the surgery, the day of surgery. I was at 199. And so I went in that morning at 10 o'clock. The doctor had several surgeries that went long, so my surgery didn't happen until late in the evening. And that's one thing that I would say, a late evening surgery, it just seems like it's more taxing on the body for some reason, maybe because you've gone so long without eating, or you're just tired already from the day, the anticipation of the surgery and all of those things, but it just seemed like it was really tough because I didn't go in for surgery until about 3 o'clock that evening. So I went in, we waited in the waiting room. Finally, they took me back to prep me for the surgery, got the IV started, talked with the anesthesiologist. They gave me some medicine for reflux and something to kind of relax me. And within a few minutes, they rolled me back to surgery. The only thing I remember is them putting me onto the table and covering my face with the oxygen, my mouth with the oxygen mask. That's all I remember. Next thing I remember is kind of waking up, and that's kind of foggy, waking up and being rolled back to my room. But the surgery lasted about an hour, and they rolled me back to my room, and I was just really groggy, really groggy, and really afraid to drink anything. But within about an hour or two, or somewhere up in there, when you're up and lucid enough, they get you up and they get you walking. So I was up and I was walking that night around 8 o'clock or so. I would walk the halls, and I was able to use the bathroom, urinate. I was not able to poop, and we'll talk about that probably in another video when I tell you about what it's been like. But anywho, so I did that, and that's when they started getting me to drink something. Oh, stop. I'm trying to get these ounces of water down every 20 minutes. So I'm taking a few sips at a time. They actually brought me some broth this morning, and Jello and apple juice. About that, my alarm went off. I have it set for 20 minutes, every 20 minutes to, so I can drink my, stuff. So, that's what I'm doing, drinking. And I take 3 small sips every 20 minutes. Every few seconds, every few minutes, until it's all gone within that 20 minutes. And I'm sleepy too, so. But okay, guys. And so I had to drink like an ounce of liquid every 20 minutes, like a little medicine cup of water is what I started with, trying to get it down. And that was hard. So I was taking little tiny sips of water, little tiny sips. I was not able to do it every 20 minutes. I may have gotten in 2 or 3 of those little cups, and I was falling back to sleep. But the next day I tried to do a little better, because I only had to stay in the hospital that evening, that night, stayed overnight, and that next evening, like 24 hours later, I went home. And so I'll tell you about the struggles in the hospital and all that in another vlog, what I eat and all that kind of stuff. But I just wanted to share with you about my surgery and what it entailed. And right now I am 9 weeks post-op. I started at 207 the day of surgery, 199. And today I am 174. So I've lost quite a bit, 175. So I've lost 32 pounds total. And I am very, very pleased with that. And for me, what they said, because I started off on the lower end, my weight loss will be slower, but somewhere between 1 to 2 pounds a week would be good. And I will have plateaus in there. They call those the stalls. And I have already experienced a couple of those. But it's really funny though, even though the scale isn't changing, my measurements are still changing, getting smaller. And so it's items in my closet now that are too big. I have items that I could not wear that I can wear now. So I am pleased. I have no restrictions right now as far as working out. I can eat regular food, but very, very small amounts. very small amounts, 1 to 2 bites. And so I'm going to do a whole series of how I started out, what I was able to eat during the first few weeks, the first month, and so on and so forth. And I'll do a Q&A. So if you have any questions that you want to ask me about my VSG journey, let me know, and I'll add that to the series. So this will be a series on my channel this year, my VSG journey, my weight loss journey. How I feel today, I feel great. I do, I actually feel great. I'll talk about the incisions because is it 4 or 5 small incisions, 1 larger incision, and that larger incision was the only one that kind of gave me problems. The other 2 I didn't really even feel, but that one large one where they actually pull the stomach through, that the part of the stomach that they remove, did hurt for a while, but it's no longer painful now. So what I'm focusing on right now is making sure I hit my protein targets. Still have not been able to hit those. Probably won't be able to hit that target of 60 grams of protein until maybe in the summer, I don't know. But I have ways of supplementing that. I'll put protein into just about anything that I can put it in. I use the Isopure unflavored, unsweetened protein, and I can pretty much add that to anything. And I do protein shakes, the Untitled protein shakes. So we'll talk about all of that, what I eat in a day, how I work out, how I'm feeling mentally, physically, all of those things. So just make sure you, if you want to know more about it, comment down below your question and I will add it to a vlog. So that is what happened, guys. That's where I am right now. I'm just, trucking along. I feel good and I'm thankful. Do I feel like it was worth it? Yes, I do. I thank God for the ability to do it. Oh, and that's one thing that I didn't share with you is the cost of the surgery. So the surgery center that I went to, they give you one flat rate, and that flat rate covers the surgery, the surgeon's fee, your post-op, the first 4 post-op appointments, and the anesthesiologist and the psychiatrist. So it covers all of those things, and that flat rate was $13,100. And there were some other small fees in there that I had to pay for, like lab fees and things like that, that weren't that much, maybe $50 or so, because each time you go for your follow-up visit, they do blood work to make sure that your electrolytes are good, that your levels are good and everything looks good. So those fees are also a part of it. So that's what I paid, and I just did it because it was important to me. It was important to me, and being able to do it is a luxury that my Siri on my computer's talking to me. That's a luxury that I'm very happy that I was able to afford. Yeah. So, but that's gonna be it for this vlog. I think I put a lot into this video. So comment down below if you have any questions. Thank you guys so much for watching. Before you go, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.